Hi there. Welcome to part 5 of the Week 2 College Algebra Learning Guide. I've been working examples to help you as you progress through the college algebra class. And this week, we've been focusing on equations and slopes. But here in part 5, we're going to focus on multi-step equations and solving multi-step equations that have fractions in them. So I hope you're ready for that. Just a reminder before we get started, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. That way you get notification every time I have a new video that posts that can help you. Also, feel free to leave a comment for me. That way I can help you in other ways. If you need to see a video over another topic, I would be glad to do that. So let me know there. So I've given you in our notes section a couple of examples of solving equations, and these are two-step equations. So I look at these as kind of the basics that you're going to find we keep coming back to again and again. But I want to start with number 1 because we are working with multi-step equations. And I want you to see that minus in front of the parentheses. That minus, I'm going to turn into a plus and put a -1 in front of that parentheses. Now, the reason I do that is because I'll need to distribute that -1 to both of the terms in this parentheses. And when I say distribute, I mean I need to multiply. So I'm going to leave the 8x here. And then I'm going to multiply a -1 times the 3x. That'll give me -3x. I'll multiply a -1 times the 2. That'll give me a -2. And then I have 3x minus 20. Now, let's combine like terms. I see the 8x and the -3x can join each other. When I say like terms, I mean they have the same variable, the same exponent. So 8x plus 3x is 5x. And now I need to get all of the x's on one side. So I'm going to take the 3x, it's being added. So I'm going to do the opposite of adding 3x, which is to subtract 3x. That leaves me with 5x minus 3x. And by the way, did you notice I lined up the 3x underneath the 5x because I knew those would be the like terms. So 5x minus 3x is 2x. My 3x's cancel out, and I'm left with 20 over here. So now I need to do the opposite of adding -2, which would be to add +2. And notice I'm doing it to both sides of the equation. Whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side as well. So 2x, notice my -2 plus 2 cancel out, and that equals 22. And last, we do the opposite of multiplying by 2. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. Again, notice I'm doing it on both sides. I get that x equals 11 because notice those 2's cancel. So I get x equals 11 here. So really take it step by step, take it slow as you're walking through your steps. Try not to skip too many steps in between. All right, next, let's look at problem number 2. We're getting into our fraction work a little bit. I hope you can see that. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of students have trouble with fractions. So I'm going to show you how to help yourself out from the very beginning. Notice that the denominators here are all the same, but even if they weren't the same, I could use the same strategy. If I were going to make a common denominator, which I'm not going to, that common denominator would be 3 in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of the terms and I'm going to multiply by that common denominator. I'm writing these out and creating a little space because I want to show that multiplication here for my notes. I'm multiplying by the common denominator. And notice I did it to every term. Here's the beauty of what we just did there. When I multiply this by 3, those 3's cancel out. I'm left with 5x. 3 times 3 is 9. Notice when I multiply by 3 here, these 3's cancel out. I'm left with 1. And when I multiply by these 3's here, those 3's cancel out. I'm left with 1x. Notice, friends, that I no longer have an equation that has a fraction in it. I have this nicer, I won't say it's all the way nice, but it is nicer that I can continue to solve, right? I want to get all the x's on one side. So I'm going to do the opposite of adding x, which is to subtract x. Notice again that I lined up the x's. So 5x minus x is 4x. My x's cancel. Now I have to do the opposite of adding 9. The opposite of adding 9 is to subtract 9. Friends, I hope you're seeing that this problem is starting to play out a lot like number 1 did, right? That's by design, right? So I've got 4x. Notice my 9's cancel. And that equals 1 minus 9 would give me negative 8. Now, if any of the calculations stump you, then definitely do your calculator. Use your calculator to check your calculations. Now we do the opposite of multiplying by 4, which is to divide by 4. And we get that x equals negative 2. Very nice, but use that step to get rid of those fractions from the very beginning. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. I'm going to use the same strategy on number 3 here, even if the denominators are different. Okay, look, I have a denominator of 3, of x, and 6. So I have to ask myself, what would the common denominator be if I were going to make one? Well, if I was going to make one, it'd have to have a 6, because 3 will divide into 6, and it would have to have an x. So my common denominator, or we call it the least common denominator, would be 6x. That's what I'm going to multiply every term by. So I'm going to create some space. And now I'm going to multiply by 6x. Okay, now for this one, I don't see as much of the canceling. You do see some, okay? But you don't have to. You can do 6x divided by 3, and that'll give you 2x. You can write that extra step there if that helps you, okay? Plus 12x divided by x, which is 12, equals 42x divided by 6, which gives you 7x. You see how I wrote that extra step? If you want to do that, you most certainly can. Okay. Now for this one, I'm going to move the 2x to the right side. I'm going to do it by subtracting. If that bothers you, you definitely can do it the other way we'd been doing it. So my 2x's cancel. I've got 12 equals 5x. Now I do the opposite of multiplying by 5, which is to divide by 5. So that x equals 12/5, 2.4. You can write that in a variety of ways. All right, just one more to go. We're almost there. Lots of distributing here. So let's take a look. I'm going to distribute my x. Now remember, x times 5x will give me 5x squared. X times 9 is 9x. Now, on this two parentheses being multiplied together, we did a box, right? So you can come to the side and do your box. If you're familiar with the FOIL method, you could also use that. So x times 5x gives me 5x squared. X times 4 gives me 4x. Negative 3 times 5x gives me negative 15x. And negative 3 times 4 gives me negative 12. Combine your like terms, so you get 5x squared minus 11x minus 12. Now for this one, we're going to have to be real careful because we've got to get all the x's on one side. Now watch how I line them up. I'm going to subtract 5x squared from both sides. Did you see how I wrote it underneath the other 5x squared? I need to line it up with its like terms. That gives me negative 9x equals, I almost said negative 9x squared, but it's negative 9x equals negative 11x minus 12. See, those x squareds went away. How nice, right? Now I'm going to move the 11x by adding 11x. That leaves me with 2x equals, notice my 11x's go away, and that equals negative 12. Last step, divide both sides by 2, because I have to do the opposite of multiplying by 2. And that gives me x equals negative 6 here. So I hope this helps you with solving multi-step equations as well as equations with fractions. Really use that strategy of multiplying by the common denominator. That way you can get rid of the fractions and make the equation a little bit simpler to solve. Well, I will go ahead and link part 6 of the week 2 learning guide. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you get notification every time a new video is posted. And I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye for now.